Yes. Good morning. Bob Gorley with Phil Walker. This is podcast number 109 for Bob's Truth Seekers. Phil Walker, how do you like to be called? Doc Walker?
Doc Walker, yes.
Doc. All right, we'll start with Doc Walker. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Springfield, Ohio. Raised over in majority of the years where your best impressions occur on you in Kinsman, Ohio, which is right on the border near Sharon, PA. Went to school in Badger High School, which no longer exists, but now it's a compound of K through 12.
How many people graduate with you when you went through school?
In 1974, I graduated, and we had 124, which was the largest class. We started off with 141.
Who was your favorite instructor in high school?
By name, I don't know.
Subject.
My favorite subject was math.
And then, what time in your life did you decide you might want to be a doctor?
Oh, when I was 4 years old.
Oh, so you knew all along.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a physician and a doctor?
Well, they're the same.
Okay, so
Difference between a DO and an MD, maybe.
Okay.
A DO is a doctor of osteopathy, which was actually created by an MD physician back in the late 1800s. He had a different view of how medicine should be approached, and developed his own college and his own method of teaching. My father was a DO, and so I continued with family tradition. But we are taught that the musculoskeletal system is as important as the internal organs of our body. And out of that came many philosophies and teachings in regards to manipulative therapy. And so with that, we taught an extra course, and it's a more holistic approach than the allopathic profession or the MDs. And we, for years, were treated differently and were considered substandard. But in most recent years, in the last, say, 25, 30 years, we've been pretty much an equal to the MDs now, and are accepted in the allopathic institutions much more with open arms.
When you graduate from high school, what college did you go to?
I went to two. I started off at Mount Union in Alliance, Ohio, and then with my father moving to Maine, I went to University of Southern Maine in Portland, Gorham.
Did you have any trouble getting into any of those schools?
Well, when you follow in the family tradition, you get, it's like it's not what you know as much as who you know. But I didn't disappoint anyone, so I got in, became a critical care physician, which is the pinnacle of internal medicine.
Were they using diversity and equity and inclusion hiring practices when you went to college?
They were starting it. They had a lot of foreign medical students coming in. They had to be taught English first, but the tuition money was significant. But back then the laws were a lot stricter. They came and they went back to their countries. But no, in general, it was what you know and not who you know. Although who you know is helpful, but no DEI there, and it was a lot stricter in terms of discipline, education-wise. It was self-education a lot. The attendings turned us loose on patients and let us manage them, which we're quite capable of as students and interns. And of course, with their guidance and tutelage, we did pretty good.
How many years were you a practicing physician?
Well, 82 to 2019, that's 37 years.
37 years. Did the quality of health improve or decrease during that?
Oh, it's significantly improved. I mean, we've gone from, you know, take Tylenol and see me in the morning medic to we can do bypass, open heart surgeries and stuff like that in minutes compared to the old days when I came through when cardiac catheterization was in its infancy. So yeah, I mean, it's improved, but to facilitate it, yeah, it has not. We do things quicker, I think, in terms of delivery of getting people there, but the process and the of government intervention and government expectations have really put medicine on the edge of disorganization. You can't, only certain physicians can do certain things. Back in the old days, in the 60s and 70s, physicians were basically holistic. Now we're so specialized that you can't, you have to go see this person, this person, this person, this person. It drives up the huge cost of healthcare. But then again, we don't pay the primary care physician as equal to the specialty physicians. But the primary physicians are the one who's doing most of the work and finding most of the diseases, and of course, then sending it, arranging for the appropriate care for their patients. I mean, it's, in my opinion, primary physicians are as equally important as any specialty physician out there, because without the primary guys finding it and knowing where to send it properly, the specialists wouldn't exist on their own.
Did you like being a emergency room or a critical care?
Oh yeah, I mean, since retirement and reflection, some people are put on the earth to do specific things. And I really honestly believe that, I'm not religious, but I believe that I was put here in Clarion to deliver for years a higher level of health care, which we accomplished in Clarion for a number of years, but because of bad management, Clarion's health care has declined in recent years.
Of all the different hospitals that you practice in, which one did you like the best?
That's a hard question. Each one offered its own experience. I think my residency training program was probably the best as far as having the responsibility and learning. I thought the learning curve was significant. Of course, practicing in real-time medicine is a lot different also and offers its own rewards, but you think you work hard, and as a medical student and an intern and then subsequently a residency, practicing rural medicine in a critical care situation required a significant more hours and toll on the old body and mind, and also put a toll on the family structures, because my dad was never around.
What health records? In the news now, they're talking about making health records digital so that they can transfer to any doctor. Is that going in the right direction? What I'm saying is everybody's concerned about the privacy of their health records, and but yet if your health records are easily transferable to a different physician, then you can.
Well, the original intent of HIPAA was, and which is it was Information Protection Act on your health, established back in the late 80s, early 90s, was to prevent the insurance companies from sharing information and driving up your health care premiums. And of course, it has through government regulations has gotten to so much tighter in terms of that. I mean, people on a day-to-day basis, I mean, they talk about their health care to other people like it's nothing. They tell people about, what happened to their family members, et cetera, and I think for those now with the last DEI inclusion thing kind of, and these people wanting LGBT community to be acceptable, it was intended to protect your sexual history also, and without being treated with bias and et cetera. But HIPAA has been watered down now. The digital world, ooh, having to document when a patient comes in every time, whether they smoke, drink, et cetera, is baloney. You come in for a cold, you coughing up green sputum and you got pneumonia, and I treat you in the office. The old days I put in the progress note, cough, fever, feeling badly, not taking in fluids. Did the quick physical examination on a specific area, wrote it down, and subsequently got to write a small progress note and saying pneumonia, here's the treatment. Now you walk out of the office with your record, you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 pages worth of information at your hand, and what happens? It gets folded up and thrown away. Some people feel that they animate about keeping their health care, but you know what? On a day-to-day basis, you know what your health is. And I really think that they've taken the physician's ability away through regulations to make a living. I mean, most doctors coming out of medical school owe $1 million with their education. And that doesn't include, starting a practice. So it's totally ridiculous as far as the information and healthcare and starting a practice, et cetera, with the regulations the government has imposed upon us.
Is there some U.S. health group that supports doctors like you, maybe even after retirement?
I've received no. I mean, no. I mean, you're supposed. The AOA and the AMA does nothing for the retired physicians. Sadly, is that retired physicians can't even do it as a side gig in retirement. Like spend a few hours here and there. If you did it on your own, it has to be purely voluntary. If you and you have to maintain a license, which is not inexpensive in its own right, and then you have to continue to maintain your continuing medical education to maintain that license. Really, 30-some years of experience, and I have to go through the tests, all these tests. I mean, it's totally idiotic. I mean, most people ask me about things like hangnails, calluses, ingrown toenails, and I get asked in retirement. I'm not practicing, but I'm not going to shut up and not share the information with the patients. But if I wanted to practice 1 day a week, you can't do it. If I wanted to put 2 days a week, you couldn't do it. If I just wanted to have a concierge practice, you can't do it. Because of the cost of maintaining your license, and then there's the health, and then there's the issue of insurance. Yeah, part time, it doesn't matter. And the other thing is like, if let's just say you're due on your insurance on January 1, the premium, and you're not paid, you don't get to practice. So I don't know. I think I know we're trying to prevent quackery, and I know that 50% of the graduating classes are in the bottom part of the class, and that there are those who are doing it for money, not for the experience and the delivery of health care. But still, the old days of where a doc hung up his sheepskin and delivered care are long gone, and it's just onerous. That's all.
As an emergency room doctor, how did using the CDC's vaccine recommendations to help patients in the emergency room?
Well, there's a nice little chart that you get off the internet, 1962, we were required only 5 vaccines. In 1989, we went up to 30-some vaccines. Now, by the time from 0 to 18, you're required to take 100 and some vaccines, which, quite frankly, I think is just ridiculous. It's big pharma making money. It does, and of course, we all worry about, childhood development. We're worried about side effects of the medications, and a lot of times, even though it's FDA approved, if anybody's watched the movie The Fugitive, you'd understand that there's a lot of money sliding going around to allow certain medications. Even today, the COVID vaccine has not been FDA approved, but yet we're out there still promoting it and still giving booster shots. And we know the COVID vaccine would never pass FDA guidelines today. It was pushed through, forced on people, and totally disagree with the concept. So, where's vaccines going in the emergency room? We didn't promote them much. I mean, it wasn't really our duty. It was more of a primary care physician's problem. But yet, when people come in, you still have to think about, did you recently get a vaccine shot? Did you have a booster shot? Et cetera, et cetera. More prominent today as far as side effects. But a lot more people getting these vaccines that I really think that are not necessary. So,
what was a story from your emergency room days that shows how much emergency medicine has grown over time?
You mean, Bobby? Are you meaning in popularity?
Well, like. They've improved the medicine. Like when you started in the emergency room, maybe just gave them aspirin, but then now you gave them a more refined.
Yeah. Well, I keep up with the emergency medicine news, and it's not what it used to be. Emergency medicine is not what it used to be. Many people are leaving the field. Too much regulation, too many people who have no medical background telling the physicians how to practice, what tests to order, et cetera, and it's all based on what the insurance companies will pay and won't pay. And for physicians who are delivering health care, I mean, really, having to make decisions on what to do with patients based on who's going to approve this, or based on am I going to have a job the next day because I ordered one test too many, or maybe an inappropriate test. And yes, some of them are pretty expensive, and they do mount up. But unfortunately, is that the emergency to the medicine is delivered as primary health care, because most of the practices now are 9 to 5 as corporate America has taken over. And I think it's been on, I think when medicine was emergency, it was truly emergency back in the day I was training in the 80s. Today, it's used as your primary caregiver, and if you got a sniffle, cough, or cold, you're spending a lot of time doing health care that the family doctor should be doing.
What was the wildest moment you had in the emergency room, and how did you handle it?
Well, the wildest moment was a 38-year-old white male who came in one time with a massive heart attack. He was bouncing in and out of a cardiac dysrhythmia that was going to take his life. And this was the time in which cardiac catheterization was pushed. Get from door to cath lab, you need to be there in 45 minutes. Unfortunately, that day, we didn't have that ability. So as a critical care physician, I got called to the emergency room and by the emergency room physician and asked, what do we do here? And of course, I came first. What we used to do, angio. The treatment was we used thrombolytics, and then subsequently angioplasty, and then it went from the thrombolytics to cath lab. And unfortunately, in the rural area, you can't get to a cath lab in 45 minutes. and up to, and I think they've extended it up to at least 3 hours now. But lots of times you can't get there. So this young man, he would go into VTAC and he'd go, uh-oh, and then he'd bounce back off. He's bouncing up and down every time he went into VTAC. And his heart, it showed that he had a massive anterior wall MI, heart attack. So the doctor said, well, what do we do? I said, well, we have to thrombolyse him. And so the minute you started thrombolyzing him, about within 90 seconds afterwards, it lysed the clot real quickly, and it was hilarious. The guy went from ashen gray, bouncing off the gurney, up and down every time he went, and thought his life was at an end. Just disappeared, precipitated, and it's probably the funnest one and most interesting one in my career, as far as being able to come down and help an emergency room physician and see instantaneous results and improve the patient's ability to survive and live and see another day. It was a great time.
How did you stay calm when things got super intense in the emergency room?
Wow. Well, that's from a story of which, when I was in my residency training program, we had a young man, 35 years of age, that once again had a massive heart attack and was brought to our cardiac ICU, and he was just being checked in and proceeded to code. And during the code, a nurse lost her composure, and it made it very tough for the whole team to work on this young man. And so subsequently, as a resident, I asked an attending to step in, and of course he ran the code, and the outcome didn't matter. The patient passed away. But back then I learned that cooler heads has to follow the program. We are all taught to follow algorithms in medicine, and if you just stay along those lines and keep your emotions at tab, many lives are saved that way. But yeah, I mean, we all learned, what I took from that lesson is we're all born to die, and we don't get to choose when the latter occurs. But to facilitate our health care, a few of us have to be calm, and so that in the old adage, take your own pulse before you take theirs, so that way you know everything's going to be okay. So yeah, I think that was my experience in learning that we're all born to die. We're put on earth to do a specific function, and with that, it's cooler heads need to prevail, and that's how I learned how to be calm and accepting the fact is that we cannot prevent what the Almighty has in store for us.
What's one thing you learned as an emergency room doctor that you think teens should know about life or health?
Well, I think the important thing is that there are limitations, and that knowing a lot of, I know it's a lot more information than the public should know, but in general, I think that if we, exercise regularly, don't smoke, do the 7 things, watch our weight, eat appropriate foods, less fats, maintain our blood pressure, etc., etc., you live a longer life. And I think that's the one thing we see is so many people who come to the emergency room, they come because they're unavailable they have not gone to their family doctor in years, and they obviously, in lots of mitigating circumstances, don't have health insurance, can't afford health insurance, or their family didn't go to the doctor back in the day. So, but I think that good habits are necessary for a longer life.
What's it like going from saving lives every day to being retired?
I miss the people, but I don't miss the crap.
Do you miss the action?
Oh yeah. Like I said, is that some of us were put on this earth to intervene for other people, and that's what our job was. And that, yeah, I mean, it's a funny thing, because when I started the medicine, I wanted to be a cardiothoracic surgeon, then I wanted to be this, then I wanted to be that, and then there's things I didn't want to do, but you gravitate to the areas that most excite you, and critical care was that. But also having, and I didn't know it, having attention deficit disorder makes a difference in that, it's quick action, quick motion, quick problem solution, and you move on to the next one. And that really plays in, having the ability to multitask and do a lot of things as you grow up and develop in life. For some reason you fall into these areas because of your development and your upbringing.
Did you ever have a patient who totally surprised you or taught you something new?
There's too many to talk about. Really, I can't say one outstanding thing. But I can think of one. Young lady comes to the emergency room, and she's septic, and she has to go to the surgery acutely to solve the problem. She comes back with a blood pressure. She comes into surgery, the blood pressure is 60. She comes out with 60, and we had to resuscitate her, and because she was fading fast, and we used epinephrine 1 to 10,000, which is considered full strength, to bring her back, her heart rate back up, her blood pressure up. But every time the epinephrine wore off in 30 to 60 seconds, she would go. So for 72 hours, we depleted the entire supply of Western Pennsylvania's source of epinephrine to facilitate saving this young lady's life. Amazing thing is, her total hospital stay was 9 days, from 0 to 9, and when she left, she only had a corneal abrasion. Her diabetes was controlled, her infection was controlled and taken care of. She went on to live another 25, 30 years without a whole lot of problems. But one thing is that because she was one of those that was trapped in the system, she was in Medicaid. And Medicaid wouldn't pay me because after submitting several bills, because back then they played games about how they did the paper processing. So she went to bat for me by going to the congressman and saying, "Hey, this guy saved my life. You are refusing to pay him for his services, and I don't think it's right." And within 72 hours, I got a check.
All right. What advice would you give a teen who's thinking about becoming a doctor, especially an emergency room type of doctor?
Not to do it. Way too, $1 million. I mean, if you went through the entire healthcare system, and let's say mom and dad pays for it, somebody's paying $1 million to that education, and it takes, it takes 10 to 15 years to pay off your education, but yet you devote your life and a lot of time up to the age of 30. I mean, I was lucky, one of the lucky ones. I come out of high school at 17, graduated, or come out of college at 21, and got immediately into medical school. And by the time I finished my schooling, residency, and got out, I was 30 years of age. And when I came through back in the day, when the doctor submitted a bill, pretty much it was all paid. But today, the games that are being played, and the doctors can't get there, and the healthcare systems, you got to go through clearinghouses, and you got to go through so much red tape to get paid, and then you pay for those services, and what if you don't get paid, you have to pay it over again. it's just onerous. I mean, it's just too much regulation. Physicians are here to deliver health care, and if honestly, if I in an emergency room situation, I don't know how anybody could do it. Really, I mean, there is a lot of stress in emergencies. You know, you're working a 12-hour shift, and you're doing you're doing anywhere between 12 and 48 hours. I mean, anywhere between 36 and 48 hours a week. And then you know, you're on a week, you're off a week, on a week, off a week. It's tough to have a plan vacations, to plan anything in regards, because after that week of 12-hour shifts, it takes a day to recover. And the older you get, it takes longer to recover. So I don't know. There's a lot of personal sacrifices, and to be honest with you, I don't think I would offer any realm of medical profession to anybody.
How did things like ambulances or 911 systems change while you were working as a doctor?
Well, I mean, they used to start off with hearse as ambulance. The local mortician would be out there having to go out and get people. The ambulance services, you know, these people are first responders, have learned to take on the task, and society and the profession has allowed them to have more responsibility in terms of medications, because it's pretty much standardized on how to treat cardiac arrest. Given the three most common causes of death in the world is cardiovascular disease number one, number three is cerebral vascular disease, and with cancer being sandwiched in between. So I mean, they help facilitate the delivery of acute cardiovascular and cerebral vascular disease significantly, and saving lives.
What's your opinion of the World Health Organization?
The higher up you go, the more corruptness occurs. Let's just be real. I mean, we know that money is sliding back and forth. Decisions are not made in the best interest of the world or people. The decisions are made by a few, and they take advantage of it by getting rich. That's what the last 4 years have shown us in our world of politics, and in fact, the entire world. You know, if you're a moviegoer and you watch the James Bond series, the movie Quantum of Solace shows you that. And then as it progresses down to one stupid madman, well, you know what? To be really, I mean, honest, that's the way it is. You look at people like Korea, China, and these people that want to run the world. It's all corrupt. And the higher up you get, the more money slides back and forth underneath the table. And the best decisions are made based on how rich can I be, not how well am I going to do for the world and the country.
What's your opinion of Dr. Fauci?
The man lied. He was part of it. He did it for money, obviously. He didn't do it for the science, and then it's been disproved. So I think the man should be investigated, and he should be indicted, and let him pay for a lot of his misdoings.
What's your opinion of Bill Gates?
Lucky in life, otherwise not very well educated.
Do you think artificial intelligence is replacing doctors?
No. You know, the issue, I mean, it's going to assist the doctor, you know, but to actually, artificial intelligence, you know, a computer isn't going to be able to react, or a robot is not going to be able to react acutely to situations in an emergency room that occur. And the speed of the emergency room is just so much that if you think that, you know, your doctor is going to be a robot with a synthetic skin, that I don't think that's going to happen in the near future. I think, you know, even, and this was pretty much laid out is that even with the advancements in medicine, just like Star Trek, you still need a doctor on board.
What's your thoughts on Robert F. Kennedy being Secretary of Health?
I think he's doing the right thing for America.
Do you think that as long as people have insurance, that they'll be treated at hospitals, but as soon as their insurance runs out, they're sent home to basically do it on their own?
I think it has become corporate medicine, which is for profit. I think Obamacare has a lot of short changes. Obamacare has a lot of short changes. It's okay to get you in the system, but once you're in, there's so significant limitations on what they will and help you do. Most of the cost of the bearance of your health care goes back to the individual.
Do you think Big Pharma is controlling the medical world?
I think between the insurance industry and pharma, I think that there is that answer is yes. Bobby is so quiet.
Is there anything that you have suggestions for the youth in the medical world?
I think if you want to get into medicine today, primary care is a good place to be. But I think the primary care should be delivered as a concierge practice. That's a total another podcast to discuss what concierge medicine is. But if I was to redo it today, that's what I would do. Now it's based on a lot. Of course, it's based on the fact is that in the retrospectoscope of things. But if I was to come through and know better, I would do concierge medicine, and it's totally different than what I'm doing in terms of critical care and emergency medicine. But if it was to make a living as a physician at the primary care level, I would not participate in health and care insurance. It would be a cash basis business.
Well, Doc, I surely appreciate this interview. I hope everything goes fine. While we got this going. And now, since you're retired in the medical world, you're the commissioner of the Senior League. How's that treating you?
Well, I got into it by hook or crook. I mean, our previous commissioner had suddenly became ill and has passed away. They needed some other person that knew a little bit about how to do arithmetic to do it. So I was already the assistant commissioner, so I decided to take on the task. And we've streamlined some things and it makes it better. And I've had to put down some rulings like 4.5 hours for a round is plenty in a league to get around. And so we've had to make some rulings that if you don't make it in on time, you get disqualified.
So the Senior League at Clarion Oaks is Mondays and Thursdays from in the summertime it starts at 9, early spring and late fall it starts at 10. If you want to play in the Senior League, please call in to the office before 6 o'clock the night before. And if you're 55 and older, all are welcome. Any last comments?
Congratulations, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Doc.
Uh-huh.